Hi everyone and welcome back to Legal B. If you are appearing for the RBI Grade B Legal Officer Exam 2025 and you're wondering how to crack the descriptive legal paper with less than 30 days left, then this video is your action plan. The exam is scheduled for 16th August 2025 and the descriptive legal section holds the maximum weight in the overall selection, which means if you want to clear this exam, you cannot afford to mess this part up. So here's what we will be covering. First, we will break down the exam pattern and understand how the descriptive legal paper fits into the bigger picture. Then we'll analyze 4 PYQs, right? And I'll show you exactly which subject and what kind of questions are asked and what kind of answers RBI expects. And finally, I'll be sharing details of a live descriptive answer writing series that we are launching where we'll be practicing important questions from all major acts together. So let's not waste a single day and let's dive right in. Now, let's take a close look at the exam pattern because this will help you sort of understand where to focus your energy. The selection process includes 2 written papers and an interview round. Paper 1 is basically your legal knowledge paper and it's split into 2 parts. One is an objective paper, another one is a descriptive type. Objective type is worth of 30 marks, whereas descriptive type accounts for 120 marks. You get a total of 3 hours for both these sections combined. And let me say this very clearly. It is the descriptive section that makes or breaks your chances. Out of 150, in paper 1, 120 marks come from your writing skills, your legal understanding, your structuring and analysis. That is 80% of the weightage in the legal paper. Then comes paper 2, which is your English descriptive paper, which is for 100 marks. Again, you'll get 3 hours to complete this paper. So altogether, the written stage totals for 250 marks. If you clear this, you will move on to the interview round, which totals for 40 marks. So your grand total is 290 marks, and more than 40% of this is just from the legal descriptive section. This means that even if your objective score is average, you can still top the merit list if your descriptive answers are powerful. And this is why you need a clear strategy, not just reading the law, but learning how to write answers that are structured, relevant, and impressive. In the next segment, I'll show you a PYQ, some PYQ sort of analysis, and we'll break down exactly how to tackle these answers in the exam. So let's look at this chart. This is basically a breakup, subject-wise breakup of the PYQs from 2008 right up to 2016. Let me quickly explain the key to understanding it. The number which is outside the bracket tells you how many questions were asked from that subject. The number which is inside the bracket indicates the marks for each of those questions. For example, here one question was asked for 10 marks. One question was asked for 8 marks, right? Then the at the end basically signifies the total marks allocated to that subject in that year. So for example, in 2008, contracts comprised of 28 marks in total. Now pay a close attention to the colors. The red markings signify those questions where you had choices. This means these questions were part of a larger pool and you could pick, for instance, any 3 questions out of 5 or 6 as indicated in the notes. And then you have green markings. Now these are super important. They tell us which questions were application based. This means facts were given and you had to apply the legal principles to reach a conclusion. For example, in 2008, there was one question of 8 marks, which was a choice based question. There were 2 questions of 6 marks and 5 marks each, which were application based. Right? All right. With that understanding, now let's analyze some powerful trends from this data. Number 1, we have the unshakable pillars, which are your non-negotiables. For that, you have your constitution and your legal drafting. If you look at constitution, it is present in every single year. 2008, 2009, 2012, even 2016. Right? Not just present, but with consistently high marks. 23 marks, 45 marks, 35 marks, and 25 marks respectively. Right? So this tells you constitution is your absolute top priority. You cannot skip it. Then you have legal drafting, another consistent performer. It's there in all years, always carrying a solid 30 marks. Right? So this is a skill-based section, not just theoretical. So guaranteed marks if you practice it well. Right? The idea here is that these two subjects are basically non-negotiables for you, right? Then you come to the core legal subjects. Now, these are the legal subjects which have high probability of coming and honestly will give you high returns as well. So, from my understanding, it's contracts. Then you have criminal law like BNS, right? Then you have Companies Act, right? If I talk about contracts basically appears frequently. It appeared in 2008, 2012, as well as 2016, right? With 28 marks, 23 marks, and 15 marks, respectively. So it's a foundational subject and often involves practical scenarios as well, right? Then you move on to BNS. If I talk about BNS or the criminal law, you will see it consistently from 2009 to 2012, right? Again, the while the weightage varied in BNS from 8 marks to 7 marks to 18 marks respectively, it's a continuous its continuous presence means that you need to have a strong grip on core criminal law principles. Then you have Companies Act. Now, significant, especially in 2008 and 2009 with 18 and 25 marks respectively, right? While it did not appear in 2012 or 2016, it's crucial. It's a crucial commercial law subject, so do not completely discount it, right? Now, this is perhaps the most critical takeaway from this chart. Notice how many subjects have those green markings, right? The idea here is that all the subjects which had green marking, especially contracts, these were the areas where application based questions were asked, right? So you can look at contracts, you can look at BNS, you can look at equal remuneration, right? You can look a little bit at evidence as well, right? Now, what does this tell you? The RBI Grade B legal paper is not just about rote memorization of sections. It's about your ability to understand a factual scenario and apply the relevant legal provision to it. You need to think like a lawyer, not just a law student memorizing definitions, right? You will notice older acts like NI Act, right? A little bit of minimum wages act, right? Even ADR, right? Alternative Dispute Resolution, Banking Regulations Act, right? They have a presence, right? But then they sort of faded or they were perhaps integrated later on. However, you still cannot miss these acts. Conversely, there are new and increasingly relevant laws which started appearing from 2012 and 16. Like, for example, POXO appeared in 2012 when it sort of came into force, right? You have human rights, you have CPC, you have administrative law as well, right? So this signals that RBI is keeping pace with contemporary legal developments and important social legislations also. So the idea is you should also focus on covering the new laws like BNSS, BSA, as well as your BNS, right? Since these are the laws which were newly introduced in 2023, there is a probability of a few questions coming from these particular laws, right? So, what does all this mean for your study strategy? The number one thing is that you need to master the Constitution, right? Understand its articles, amendments, landmark judgments, a little bit of the doctrines as well. Practice applying principles to hypothetical scenarios as well. Then you perfect your legal drafting. This is 30 guaranteed marks. Practice structuring answers, drafting your legal documents, and articulating arguments clearly. Then there are certain core subjects that you can focus on, like contracts, you have criminal law, you have Companies Act, you have evidence, right, which form the backbone. Then the another important thing is that you learn legal principles as well. Like there are so many questions in the PYQs where they've asked you to write short notes on res judicata or in principles like ignorantia juris non excusat. Then you have to also embrace the application based learning. Do not just read the law. Think about how it applies. Solve case studies. Even if they're hypothetical, this is where you score big. Lastly, please stay updated. Be aware of recent amendments, new laws like the new criminal codes, if they weren't covered in your core syllabus, and significant judgments, subjects like POXO or Bharatiya Sakshi Adhiniyam, they show the exam's evolving focus. So, by strategically focusing on these key areas, practicing application, and staying updated, you will be much better prepared to tackle the legal descriptive paper. Now, let's talk about the most important part. How do you write a great legal answer in the descriptive section to actually score well? Because let's be honest, knowing the law is one thing, but writing a high scoring answer under pressure, that's just some another ballgame, right? That's where most students fall short. So let me break it down for you in a few simple steps. And I want you to remember this format at every time you sit to write a mock or an actual paper. Start with a clear introduction. This should be 2 to 3 lines. Mention the broad area of law the question relates to. Try to define the concept in simple words. For example, if the question is on separation of powers, start by explaining what it means and where it is rooted in the Constitution. Right? Then you identify the legal provisions or principle. Now bring in the relevant article, section, or doctrine, but keep it natural. You don't need to quote verbatim, just state it clearly. For example, Article 50 of the Constitution talks about, separation of the judiciary from the executive, right? Something on the same lines, right? Then you add case laws. The idea here is that this is what sets you apart. Even if you have one relevant case name that can fetch you extra marks, don't write long case summaries, just mention the name and what the court held and why it is relevant. This is also stipulated in the instructions of the exam sort of paper that is given to you. So I've attached the screenshot of it where it said that wherever possible, references to decided cases should be given. Right? So the idea is, if you remember any cases, any cases, and please try to remember at least the constitutional cases, the landmark judgments, right? If you mention these cases, these are just going to fetch you extra marks. Now, another thing is you apply the law to the question. What does this mean? Now, show the examiner that you understand the practical side. If it is a problem based or opinion based question, analyze the issue, give your reasoning, do not sit on the fence. Make sure your answer shows clarity and depth. Right? And then lastly, you conclude smartly with 2 to 3 lines that either summarize your answer or you give a short critical opinion. Right? Avoid abrupt endings. Right? And if time allows, break your answer into short paragraphs, right, with subheadings. So it is easier to read. It shows clarity of thought. It avoid, the walls of text. They exhaust the examiner, right? Then lastly, practice your writing. You won't master this in one day. You need to practice at least 8 to 10 answers before the exam and get them reviewed if possible. Right? And that is exactly what we are helping you do in our live descriptive classes, where we break down questions for each important act and write answers together. Now, if you're serious about this exam, we have got something that's tailor made for you. The ixamBee RBI Grade B legal online course gives you everything you need from conceptual videos and filtered study notes, so you don't waste time studying what's not needed. The descriptive mock tests with manual evaluation, which is of utmost importance right now. So the faculty is going to review your answers, they're going to tell you how to improve. Plus you also get live doubt clearing sessions with the faculty members, right? All right, now that we have covered the exam pattern and strategy, let's talk about the most exciting part, which is our upcoming live descriptive revision classes for RBI grade B legal aspirants. So idea is that these classes are designed to give you maximum output in minimum time, because we know that time is running out and every day counts now. These are starting from 18th of July, right? That is tomorrow. We are conducting a dedicated series of live classes, which is specifically focused on legal and English descriptive paper. So these will basically will be highly structured sessions where we will discuss actual questions that are likely to come in the exam. These classes will be held uh, all the law classes will be held from 5 to 7 p.m. So whether you are a working professional or a full-time aspirant, you can attend comfortably. In total, we have 5 full legal descriptive revision classes covering the most important descriptive questions from acts like Constitution, CRPC, that is BNSS, Companies Act, Surface, CNI Act, and more. For the bigger acts like Constitution, Companies Act, BNSS, we will discuss 7 to 8 questions each, breaking down how to write top scoring answers. For the smaller but crucial acts like LLP, partnership, NI, we will pick out 1 to 3 questions and teach you how to structure them beautifully. So these are not boring one-way lectures. These are live, interactive, doubt-solving sessions where you will get real-time feedback and clarity. So you can attend them easily by logging into your ixamBee dashboard just by clicking your join live classes and you are in, right? We have also integrated the descriptive English sessions, English practice into this plan, right? With sessions on presses as well as reading comprehension as well as essay writing, etc. So these are something that you can sort of look at. Um, Everything basically you need for your descriptive part of the paper to master both your paper 1 and paper 2. So for legal, you can mark your calendars. We have classes on 18th July, 23rd July, then 30th July, 11th August, and 13th August, right? This is your chance to revise smart and not just hard and try to stand out in the exam, right? Uh, and that's the wrap up for today's strategy session. Remember, with less than 30 days left, it's not about how much you study, it's about how smartly you revise. Join our live classes, practice answer writing. Let us help you turn every mark into a selection. All course and class links are in the description below. Check them out and enroll now. This is your moment. Let's make it count. All the best, and I'll see you live in the class on 18th of July, that is tomorrow, from 5 to 7 p.m.